Lizardmen got quite a few changes and updates in Immortal Empires. Primarily, Primal Instincts is now not a nerf in any way, just, activates below 50% HP, gives Lizardmen units an extra 15% charge, 10 melee attack, 5% physical resistance. NAKAI also got some updates. We'll take a look at him in just a second, but today I'm facing off against the Warriors of Chaos, KHOLEK Sun Eater under his own banner. Across from me, starting with the starting army, has got NAKAI here with the Skink Oracle to back him up. Star Chamber Guardians, some Skink Cohort with Javs, a Court of Sotek as well. More Javs back here. My opponent's starting army, Turin coming in hot with KHOLEK Sun Eater, a couple of Chosen, a Lore of Shadow Sorcerer, Hell Cannon, and a couple of Marauders. Let's take it the reserves now as well. For my Lizard reserves, I've got 2 Razordon Hunting Packs, 3 Source Spears, 3 Source Warriors, all with shields, and 4 Chameleon Skinks. Very much straightforward. My opponent, he's got a single Warrior of Khorne with dual hand weapons, and 3 Slaanesh Cavalry. Great use of marks. He's got 1 Anti-Large Hellstrider and 2 Hell Scourge Hellstriders, 2 Forsaken as well, 2 Warriors of Chaos with shields, a couple of Spawn, and a couple of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. Let's get back to it. And getting back to it, so NAKAI, I already thought NAKAI would be a pretty decent choice in Domination, mainly because of this Perfect Vigor aura that he has. Now also has been buffed to include 10% damage resistance. So this Golden Tribute's going to be a great item to bring with him. Makes him great for just brawling on an objective and holding it down, keeping all of his units fresh. Of course, he can also debuff opponent's vigor, speed, and leadership with this Miasma of Despair. And yeah, the Oracle synergizes well with him in order to heal him. The Rev Crystal also going to be coming out shortly. Yep, there it is. Summoned in already. The Rev Crystal is a little bit too strong right now. They already confirmed us in testing, privately, that they will be reducing the healing on the Rev Crystal. Of course, more balancing will after that, perhaps testing to see how the values are. But you'll notice in this replay, it is going to be used well to keep these Star Chamber Guardians in the fight. But let's see what's going on. That Hell Cannon raining some nice shots on said Star Chamber Guardians initially, doing some great damage to them. I've got some Chameleon Skinks in Vanguard up to take on these Chaos Warriors. Very interesting that it looks like Lizardmen ruins, right? Like up in the north. It's supposed to be, I think, like a gate of the old ones, so it feels very appropriate to have the Warriors of Chaos fighting against the Lizardmen here. Let's get in close on the brawl as KHOLEK Sun Eater with his new lightning effects gets into combat. Chosen are duking it out, of course, with the Star Chamber Guardians. There's that sweet Rev Crystal healing. Of course, the Skink Oracle definitely going to take a beating, no questions there. NAKAI is trying to get into combat, and a decent enough combatant. I don't know, they may have given him an HP buff as well. I don't remember exactly all the changes they gave to NAKAI specifically, but it should be okay as long as I don't take too much damage there. We've also got some Razordons, which I think are also overtuned in this particular build. I didn't realize at the time, but I think it was confirmed later. I've got some Marauders reinforcing on this far objective over here, on my home objective rather. I'm under the Sentinels of Zeddy color scheme with the purple Lizardmen. They're one of the Lizardmen factions from Lustria, I believe. I don't remember exactly. I want to say they're like on the south east side in the Vortex map or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, let's get back to battle and just ignore that for now. Chosen fighting it out. We've got NAKAI versus KHOLEK in the background. Some shots coming in from the Oracle. Troglodon having rallied. Now back in the fight there, shooting at the Sorcerer, actually, that Shadow Sorcerer, just getting an absolute beatdown as well. Star Chamber Guardian still holding for the time being. I'm waiting on the Rev Crystal to come off the cooldown and give him another big healing burst. Likewise, got some Chameleon Skinks. Haven't been able to capture my home objective, though. We've been both contesting all the objectives. Like here, he hasn't been able to capture this objective because of the Chameleon Skinks, so we'll just keep value trading for the time being, I guess. I'm not getting too far behind on victory tickets. And whoops, as we travel up the pillar there. KHOLEK's definitely a menace, though. We're going to try and just keep the Skink Oracle alive as long as possible. Uses his Lord of the Storm there to bomb out some Skinks. and move on over to try and finish off the Rev Crystal. The Rev Crystal did get, or no, Cold-Blooded rather, being used to keep up the leadership of the Skink Oracle. KHOLEK, yeah, looks like a Harmonic Convergence also on him, mostly to buff up his defense, primarily up to 70 melee defense. Still takes a big hit from KHOLEK right there, though. Not great. Between the Rev Crystal and the Earthbloods, we've been able to just about heal cap the Star Chamber Guardians. They have taken an immense beating, but have managed to hold out. Just about got that objective secured here. This objective finally has also been secured. Some spawn come back alongside the Marauders, but the Overwatch of the Skinks and the Lizardons here is just too much for them to try and deal with. Eventually, we do thin out that Warrior Halberd enough that we're able to cap that back objective. So we're looking at just about a 3 cap. It looks like we don't quite have the center objective captured. Skink Oracle falls there, as you saw. Guy not happy about that situation at all. Is going to come beat KHOLEK up with his giant lollipop. KHOLEK going for the Rev Crystal. Hell Scourge, Hell Striders moving in, of course. Warriors of Chaos can take up to 4 marked units. I'm recording this after they have already officially announced the DLC and shown off some of the Slaanesh units alongside Azazel. So in the future, of course, you could see like Knights of Slaanesh perhaps, or Warriors of Slaanesh, but for the time being, we only have access to the base game rosters. That does include the Hell Scourges, of course. They're going to come in here and act as a great buffer, especially against chasing down Missile Skinks. Looks like some Warriors of Khorne, dual hand weapons as well. And KHOLEK does manage to rout, as NAKAI goes for a ride there. I don't know if you saw that very well, but manages to rout off the Rev Crystal. Even if it does go down here, though, it's cheap enough that I can resummon it relatively easily without putting too much of a dent in my supply. NAKAI just having a grand old time. Whacking, just absolutely smashing and frolicking somehow at the same time. Finally, the Star Chamber Guardians give up, having long fought and held and captured, and you know all the objective play here, doing a great job. Red Crest also moving in. Regiment round cohort of Sotek, unbreakable of course, can provide that unbreakable capture weight even if they are relatively squishy. A nice hell cannon shot lands right in the middle of them though. And the Skink Fire is enough to finish off KHOLEK's leadership. A little bit of an anticlimactic end, but there you go. Nice play by my opponent, too. Getting these Hell Scourges up into the Razordons, tying them down, not allowing them to shoot. These other Razordons over here have been allowed to shoot and also kind of run around, act as a little bit of a hybrid missile melee unit to help control this space right here. Racked up some really good value and kills. That's nice to see there. Back over to NAKAI as he brawls with the Warriors of Khorne. Got some Forsaken in here as well. Just regular, old, undivided Forsaken. Oof. Big hit there. Man, I can't wait for the Blood Pact. Really just feels wrong somehow to see Khorne units not covered in blood. Hopefully we get access to that alongside Mortal Empires. We'll see. Ooh, nice Hell Cannon shot. Actually hits NAKAI directly. Very impressive. Warriors of Khorne duking it out with the cohort of Sotek. Red Skinks against Red Chaos Warriors with the support of NAKAI, of course. The Unbreakable Skinks are going to carry that engagement pretty decisively. Warriors of Khorne have already been beat up pretty badly, though, to be honest. I mean, 1v1, I would imagine, normally the Warriors of Khorne, if you charge them both, you know, completely healthy into each other, Warriors of Khorne probably trade pretty well, but we got some Sora Spears moving up here as well. Help screen for the Razordons. Gonna throw some of their barbs. Oof, just brutal, absolutely brutal shots. It's Hell Striders. One thing, well, the reason why I say Razordons are broken is because they have extremely high penetration values, so shots will literally penetrate like 4 to 5 models, which is definitely not intended. Won't go live like that, they've already said, but, you know, one of those things, as you're porting stuff over, sometimes, weird stuff tends to happen, but more Hell Scourges reinforcing the various points, trying to keep these Saurus off of the objective. My opponent, really at this point, not quite within range of triple cap, but he's pretty thin on the ground, so it needs to just try and get any objective control. Stabilize here with these Warriors with Halberds. Nice play with the Hell Striders as well to continue to outmaneuver, or to protect those Warriors from the Razordons. My Sora Spear is a little bit too slow to follow up. But over here, Chaos Warriors actually come over. They're able to get on this objective and begin to capture it along with the Hellstriders, keeping my source off of the objective. So again, a little bit of a smart, I'm not going to call it objective cheese, but just, you know, playing around the positioning, right? Which is definitely the way that you'd want to play if you're in a situation like this, where I'm not sure exactly how far down, but definitely, without a question, see, I've summoned my Rev Crystal back in. Without question, I am ahead on army damage value. So, it'll be tough for Chaos, but be able to get some work done here. They can capture my home objective and just leave my kind of death box sitting in the center. Could leave a lot of value on the table, perhaps, but I've got some Marauder Horsemen and throwing axes coming in now. Some Forsaken also. Chaos Warriors holding firm. Could charge in there with my Sword Spears. It's not going to be the greatest trade in the world, but for the time being, just kind of hanging back. A lot of the skinks start to get taken out as well. The Chaos Warriors, of course, heavy armor and missile block chance means they're not going to take much damage, especially considering these skinks are pretty much out of ammunition anyway. Not going to be contributing a ton there, but the Saurus are trading decently. Good old Rev Crystal. Also taking some heavy throwing axe fire, which is not great. NAKAI fighting this little choke here near the objective. Trying to clear out the last of the Hellstriders. The cohort of Sotek. Also, a handful of unit models still alive and fighting here, but really not much. So all of a sudden, I turn around and I'm looking at a potential triple cap. It's not quite been executed yet. Only the home objective, and now, like literally right now, there it goes. The center objective also flips over. So I am maybe within range. Yeah, I think, yeah, within range definitely of only needing one objective secured. So I'm going to, to a degree, start to spawn in a lot of units to hold on to this side objective here. Likewise, these Chaos Warriors, I mean, they made a pretty nice push, but without the Hellstriders, they don't have enough capture weight to actually seize that objective. So crisis seemingly averted for the time being, but still going to forward pressure onto the center objective too, just to keep units tied up here so I don't go full Helm's Deep. Star Chamber Guardians back for more after having been heal capped, summoned back in again. This is one of the things about being ahead on army damage value, is that you can sort of take the initiative on unit summoning, and rather than reacting to what your opponent's bringing, just sort of proactively bring in units that are strong in general and can help you control the flow of the game, help you control objective secures, stuff like that. But man, super cool with the new lighting effects and everything. Kai also still mostly healthy. I mean, really hasn't taken much damage at all, up to 126 kills, almost 3,000 damage value. Since KHOLEK was focused so much on the Oracle and then on the Rev Crystal, which is definitely the right call, you know, take out the two healers first. NAKAI, as a result, really wasn't focused at all and has been able to pay absolute dividends. Good stuff. Throwing axes also making their presence felt. They've been getting some crazy value in here, just throwing their... excuse me, just straight up punched my mic stand. I apologize. That was bad. Anyway. As I was saying, the Marauder Horsemen capture this objective, holding it to a degree, and they can kind of run around in a little circle here. Fortunately, they don't have a ton of space to work with, and especially with the skinks poisoning them, potentially running into combat with them, it's going to be tough for them to really hold this objective in a meaningful way, right? So I am able to re-secure the center, which is nice because my home objective actually got taken as more Hellstriders and a Forsaken came over to seize it. So some great macro from my opponent, and all of a sudden I'm feeling a little bit dangerous. That was a very brief triple cap there, but my opponent's quickly gaining on me. Still outside of range of outside of striking distance, I should say, with only two objectives. He would still need to get the triple cap back, but desperate defense on this objective. Number 2 here, and also getting some more units to come try and re-secure its objective number 3. Rev Crystal getting a little bit crazy past the objective there. That's fine. And dump another heal into the Star Chamber Guardians. Nice Pit of Shades from my opponent. I catch quite a few units. He had tons of magic left in reserve because I was able to snipe his caster relatively early on. I think he probably intended to bring the Sorcerer of Shadows on a horse, but unfortunately, I might have forgotten. I don't know, maybe it was intended for him to be on foot so he could just stand off of the objective. I'm not really sure, but anyway, soak in the last moments of the Lizardmen's final stand as more and more forces of chaos swarm in from all directions. Cold-blooded stops rampage component is now not wildly useful unless you're fighting a faction that has actual units that cause a rampage. So arguably, they maybe should change that cold-blooded effect. Maybe just give it like immune to psychology or something so that it can keep units from terror routing. But Star Chamber Guardians fully surrounded, and my opponent just heavily outweighing me in terms of capture. Manages to re-seize that objective, which almost triple caps again, but literally at exactly the same time, I'm able to re-secure my home objective with a swarm of chameleon skinks. So, you know, Lizardmen, I think, would have been strong even without the changes. The changes to Primal Instincts make them that much stronger, and NAKAI finally feels like he potentially has a viable place. I would obviously need to test him out in a lot more games and see, but on paper, I really like his ability set and his stats for Domination, especially against melee-centric factions. He can kind of brawl on an objective, as long as he doesn't have to fight anything too big and scary. But, I mean, KHOLEK is still, after all of these years, one of the biggest, scariest things that you can fight, so definitely seems pretty solid. Of course, the Oracle taking a bit of the beating there for him. Didn't get a whole lot of value in and of himself, but there you go. Star Chamber Guardians did summon them twice. They didn't quite pay for themselves twice, but certainly just in terms of tactically securing the objective, and certainly on the first go-around, I got my money's worth from them. There's no question there. Same thing with the Rev Crystal. Even if the healing's a little bit too strong, it's definitely worth it to have in a long Domination game. Horde of Sotek, pay for themselves. Great units, super cost-effective. Unbreakable Infantry. It's going to be great in Domination, there's no question. And Razordons, I'd probably still take them even after the fixes that are going to be applied in the live version of Immortal Empires. In this matchup, they tend to just trade well at range with Marauder Horsemen. As long as you can keep them safe now from Hellstriders, which is a little bit tricky, as you saw there in some situations. You can get great value shooting at those heavy armored Chaos units, Warriors of Chaos units, so definitely like to pick here. Saurus, of course, just great mid-tier infantry all around. Arguably not as good as the Warriors themselves, but that's a discussion for another day, perhaps. Chameleon Skinks, of course, are what they always have been, and what they always have been makes them great in the new Domination context. KHOLEK also, almost 3,000 damage value. Really can't be too mad about his performance. Getting the caster sniped was definitely rough, though. Having that bit of shades throughout the course of the battle could have changed that center objective fight pretty considerably. Those pits of shades or, you know, other damage spells thrown out could have helped take out the Star Chamber Guardians and just in general had that objective more secured, but such is as it is. Chosen do okay. The Hell Cannon also gets quite a bit of value, but tactically I'm not sure how much it actually helped. The rest of these units here kind of had a hard time in terms of damage value. A couple of the Forsaken, or one of the Forsaken I should say, do okay. Bright spot definitely, and a major learning experience for me was these Hell Scourges. They did a great job running down my Skink Skirmishers and, you know, the Razordons and whatnot, so definitely seems like a great pick here, especially the Hell Scourge Hellstrider specifically for counteracting chameleons and stuff like that. Yeah, I would have thought they would be too light to actually make it work, but I think the shield plus the speed means, surprisingly, the short range of the chameleons, they only get like one volley before the Hellstriders actually get into combat, if that. They really don't take much damage on the approach as long as they can actually effectively get on the skinks, and then of course their own poison means that the chameleons can't get away like they can sometimes with other light cavalry. Be a little bit tricky to actually try and catch them. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.